But the obligation of fasting, right? One thing is that we all know here that we must fast in Ramadan, but why? So what does Siyam mean, first off? Like, we need to understand, because we fast, yes, we have Ramadan, most of us have spent many a Ramadan, but do we really understand the maqasid? What are the goals, right? Yes, taqwa, as we talk about in the khutbah today, but how do we get there? So what does Sawm or Siyam mean? So the Shaykh explains here, linguistically, it means imsak, to restrain, refrain. So the one who is silent, the one who doesn't want to speak to anybody, we call him sa'im. We call him the one who is, we don't say fasting, right? But fasting from speech. And then he gives a dalil for the linguistic meaning. And this is, as I said, the Sheikh Abdullah al-Bassam is going to explain it, but this is from the matan, from the Talib. And he gives the dalil from the Quran itself. When Maryam alayhi salam, she says that I made another, I made a qasam or a vow lil-Rahman to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to ar-Rahman, sawma, that I would not be speaking. So this is a dalil of what is the linguistic meaning. But in the Sharia, Siyam is to stay away from those things that are forbidden for the Sa'im, for the fasting person in the Quran and in Sahih Ahadith, with a niyyah for that particular time. There is obligatory fasting, like that which is in Ramadan, or something that we make another, when you make a qasam, or you take an oath or a vow for, or you're making up the obligatory fasting, or so on. And then there are non-obligatory fasts, like Mondays and Thursdays, right? Like the middle days of the month, like the 6 days of Shawwal, like Muharram, the first 10 days of Muharram, especially the Ashura, like the day of Arafah. Like this, there are non-obligatory fasts. And then there are days you cannot fast, like the Eid, right? And then we can talk about Jum'ah and Saturday and Sunday, and when you can and when you cannot and how you can. But the obligation of fasting, right? One thing is that we all know here that we must fast in Ramadan, but why? Is it just because it's a tradition? Is it just a aada, a cultural practice? La. As the Shaykh mentions here, Furida Sawm al-Ramadan. This was made obligatory, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the month of Sha'ban, in the 8th year of Hijrah. And he says, Sama Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam fasted. Thaniya, the second year of Hijrah, and he fasted 9 Ramadans ijma'an, by consensus. So it was obligated in the second year of Hijrah, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam fasted 9 Ramadans ijma'an, without any khilaf. And he says that this was one of the arkan of Islam dun al-khilaf, there is no disagreement on that. And he says that adilla that fasting is obligatory is established from al-kitab was sunnah wal ijma' al-ummah. It's from the Quran, from the Sahih Ahadith, and the consensus of the Muslim scholar. There's no disagreement on this. And he gives a dalil from the Quran, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, as we mentioned in the khutbah as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained fasting for us. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah, the dalil that Ramadan is fard. To fast in the month of Ramadan is obligatory from the Quran. And then he's given the hadith that muttafaqun alayhi, and it is agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim, which is Bunya al-Islam ala khamsin, which is Islam is built on 5 pillars. And from them they mention Sawm al-Ramadan. So this is from the Sahih Ahadith. And then he mentions that Ibn Hazm and Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qudama and Al-Nabawi, they mention the ijma', the consensus of the ummah on this mas'ala as well. So what does that tell us? This is not something you do because you're a very good Muslim. Yani you want to be very pious. No, this is a base obligation on every capable Muslim who is qadir, who is able, who is mukallaf, who is at the age and ability where it is obligatory upon them, who is muqim, who is not a traveler, and who is not barred from fasting due to any legitimate shari'i excuse. طيب? So, if there is somebody who is past the age of bulugh and they are not travelers, it's not like they're going through some kind of hardship, and they're not sick, they're not in a state of haid or nifas, they don't have any physical inability from fasting, like an extreme case of diabetes or so on, then in those situations it is obligatory upon them without any disagreement. Tayyib, what I really wanted to talk about really though is the virtues and benefits of Ramadan today. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he told us in many ahadith, for example, all of the amal of Bani Adam, of the children of Adam, are for him, except as-sawm. This is hadith Qudsi, where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is telling us what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told him. He said, the fasting, فَإِنَّهُ لِي, it is for me and I will reward him. This hadith is a jami' hadith, it has a very deep meaning. When we talk about rewards, everybody wants to talk about like 10 rewards for this, and 25 rewards for this, and 27 rewards for this. And we find a hadith about different amal and the great rewards, 100 times and so on. But fasting is given such a level, such a daraja, such a status, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this He did secretly for me, meaning it was just for me. And His reward is secretly with me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't say this is the reward, He says He will get it with me. And this is explained by another hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, where He mentioned that there are two joyful moments for the person who's fasting. When they make the iftar, you all know, especially in the beginning of Ramadan, when you're not in that routine, and you're hungry and you're thirsty, and that iftar time comes and you drink that water, it tastes better than water has ever tasted before. You eat that date that regularly would just sit there on your table, and it tastes better than it's ever tasted before. In our masjid we have a particular soup, and may Allah reward the brothers who make it. Regularly I wouldn't drink it, but in Ramadan it's the greatest thing ever. Because that moment of iftar is that joy. He says that, and the next is when he meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he or she, for fasting, the reward is such great reward. When they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will be a great moment of joy for them.